It's actually kind of insane that I did a whole video about Ironhide and didn't talk about his coolest gimmick. But first, welcome to part 3 of my Dark of the Moon Mechtech Leader Trilogy. We talked about Bumblebee, and then in part 2 we talked about the amazing Ironhide, and today we're going to look at Sentinel Prime. Arguably one of the most terrifying villains of the Bayverse. They gave him a figure to match, and it's absolutely incredible. The robot mode and the truck mode. Let's get started. When you pull this down right here, he has a gun that comes out and spins. You get a little machine gun sound, and it's super cool. Now this is considerably older now, so got a good spin that time around. But as you can see, that's just an absolutely insane, awesome gimmick. But anyway, we have gone over these two guys. Our last bot to talk about is, of course, Sentinel Prime. And starting off in truck mode, this thing is just incredible. I absolutely love this. From the moment I saw it on the screen, in the trailers, and in the movie, man, this fire truck is just so cool. I didn't know this type of model exists. I'll throw the model up there. I don't remember it offhand, but I'll throw it up there in the video. But it is just too cool. And I'm kind of amazed because I bought a lot of Dark of the Moon stuff when the movies first came out. Like I said, it was the right age for my kids to be watching these movies, and so we bought a lot at the time. And now that I've started collecting again, at least when it comes to Bayverse, I've definitely put a lot more time and money into figures from Dark of the Moon. I don't know what it is, the Mechtech line, something about it I just really enjoy. I've collected a lot of Bumblebee, all the Dark of the Moon Bumblebee figures, some of them still in their packaging. And I've just started buying up I own quite a bit of the Mechtech line, from the Deluxe to the Voyager to the 3 liters here. I even have Ultimate Optimus Prime, even though, as far as I'm concerned, he is not the best. But anyway, love the Dark of the Moon line in general, and I think this leader class, Sentinel Prime, is just like peak Dark of the Moon Mechtech for me. This truck mode is just incredible. And of course, it comes with so many gimmicks as well. But first off, just the paint on this, the red and the black, the colors on it look so good. You have the Autobot logo there on the side. Of course, didn't quite work out that way. But anyway, and of course, the number is 316, which is kind of interesting. I actually I haven't looked that up, and it's funny. You stare at this stuff so much, you don't think about it too much, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this a biblical reference? Are they throwing a John 3:16 on this? I'm sure that's not the case, but I'll throw up the information, if there is any, and presumably there is, of why this is number 316. And I'll sound stupid for not knowing that, but hey, we keep it real here. But anyway, it is hefty too. I almost thought about getting my scale out to weigh it, but that seems silly. But just the heft of this figure and how well it locks into place as a truck. Once you've done everything right, you might have issues back here. Some people will have issues, but usually it's user error, and which I make all the time when transforming this guy. But if you do everything just right and lock it into place, and we'll go over his transformation in a bit, usually he'll hold up really well. And if you gave this to a kid as just a fun fire truck to play with, I think they would never even care that it does that, or know, or be bothered by whether it transforms or not. Just alone as a truck, a kid could have so much fun with this. Because, of course, it's got the gimmicks, too. You got the little button right here. You push it. You get the lights. You get the fire truck sound. So cool. But it goes further than that. So you have here underneath his shield that you can store underneath, just like that. You can take that off the bottom. And, again, another clever use of storage that actually also kind of holds him together really well. And this can actually go on top as well. Let's re-angle the camera real quick. Okay, so I pulled up the old instructions although I should have them because I actually bought this guy new. Pulled them up on unicron.com, which is a great resource for getting instructions. And they suggest keeping this all together like that. Although I've seen videos with it splayed out as well. But you take it and you like that. And then this, yeah, so you have these 2 slots right here and these 2 tabs right here. You can tab his sword in just like that. There we go. And so the instructions say have it look like that, and then back into the slots. Okay, so we want to get it all the way in to get the other sound though. So you hear that click, and then you hear that work. And so now, see if we can capture this. You see that? He took out Ironhide again. Ironhide, no, why? Anyway, so that's crazy. That's way over the top and awesome, and that's Mechtech. That's the Gimmicks, and they're just too cool. Anyway, this truck, I'm not sure what else to say. Give you a good look at it. It's just, again, the heft is so good. It is such a great truck. Such a fantastic toy to mess around with. This off of here real quick. I love that. Love that they still keep those sounds. And yeah, it holds together really well. As long as you transform everything correctly, holds together really well. These sides can go down, probably for transformation, and probably just have fun. Oh yeah, and even these flaps here, if you can get your fingernail in here, there's a flap on either side, but they are kind of tricky to get to. And be careful where you squeeze on this guy. There we go. Anyway, these lift up in theory to, you know, as is a working fire truck. You could, a little extra play factor there. There's not too much detail there, but anyway, those open up. So you could have getting some equipment out of there. Another cool, fun little gimmick. Again, I hope I'm not missing any gimmicks, but we'll now switch to the transformation process and talk about the robot mode. So I used to really struggle with transforming this guy. I mean, he is a bayformer after all, but once you get the hang of it and you kind of focus on order of operations and remember all the special tabs and things, it's not as tricky, and it's certainly probably a little easier going from truck mode to robot than back. But anyway, we'll work through transforming him into his robot form, and we'll start, of course, with the legs down here at the bottom. And before you even start that, you can actually, this is a missable step. You can take this back tire right here. You want to kind of pop it out of its housing and lift it up. And they can be kind of tricky. And you know why? Because they use these tabs right here, these hooks in a couple different places on here. I don't know if you can see that, but they're really strong, and I love that. These little tabs right here that they hook into. So again, well made, good solid tabs, and things stick together nicely and hold together pretty well. But you're going to take the wheels and you're going to take this tab here and put it in this slot here. And a lot of times I think people might just completely miss that step or not mess with it, but that's kind of important to the look of the legs. Do the same thing on the other side. We're going to bring it up. We're going to try and line up this tab with the slot and pop it in, and there we go. And now we can go ahead and split the legs. I like to actually just lift this panel up first and kind of get it out of the way. And then you see we have the legs here, then you just kind of pull them apart. And now the next thing you want to do is take these panels down off the side. And remember, I showed earlier that this was kind of, I call it a play feature because it opens up, but it is also another missable step that's kind of integral to the transformation of the legs as well. So first thing you'll notice, the arms come down and rest in these little enclosures here on the legs for the transformation process, and they hold together well. And the reason the whole thing holds together well is because of how they're slotted in. Right here, this slot right here with this tab, if you don't make sure those are locked in on both sides, you're going to have trouble with the whole transformation. So that's a very important step, and it involves making sure you get the arms lined up correctly. And if you do that, you're going to be happy. So anyway, for now, we're going to pull these apart, and now we can kind of take the leg down and slide it away from the arm and leave the arm there. We'll do the same thing on here. We'll pull this panel away from the arm. And then we can kind of just wiggle it around and bring the legs down. Okay, so before we even worry too much about orienting the legs, remember I talked about this panel. We're going to work on that now. You should better get your finger under there and pull it out right there. And this tab here is going to go into this slot right here. And that's going to help hold that into place. So the panel's going to come around. In there's another tab right here that's going to go into this slot. It's going to connect there, and it's going to connect right there. And again, I love these little slots right here for the tabs. They do a good job of holding everything in place really solidly. So we'll get that lined up, click that in, and now that's in place really well. Now you can take the bottom part of the truck separate this from here and bring the foot around, and the top part is going to enclose right here. Another big thick boy tab slot here. You're going to push that into place, and that's going to be locked in. And then now for the heel, you'll notice you've got a tab slot here and a tab right here. You can kind of disconnect it from under the foot, then you can kind of push those together, lock that in, and then this side will come up, snap in there, this side will come up, lock into there, and then you've got the leg done, and you can turn it and orient it into place. And this wheel might keep popping out. You can always pop that back in, but that's basically one leg done. So we'll just repeat the process on the other side. And now we have his legs essentially done. And now it's probably not going to stand up like it, but as you can see, when you actually do that one part with the panel and tab it in, I think that actually helps the legs a little bit. I know most of the time I don't do it, and I was going through the instructions this time around to make sure we didn't miss anything, and I noticed that part, and I think I did it the first or second time I did it and then completely forgot about it. So that might actually help our legs a little bit. It's kind of interesting that he's able to stand right now, so that's a good start. Okay, so this top part will start to become a little unwieldy when you're working with the rest of the transformation process, but you'll get used to it. So what we want to do now is kind of get the arms prepped for the transformation, and we can start by pulling these panels away, just pulling them apart, getting them to the side, and then this top panel here as well. You can kind of peel it away like that, and then just kind of move it up and out of the way. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Move it up, and now your arms are kind of starting to get into place where they need to be. And so then we can come down underneath and start working on that. So you have these little pieces here that can come down. They kind of connect and hold the tires in place, so you can kind of push the tires out to the side, bring these pieces down, and then you can disconnect this panel, and then that'll help you kind of bring everything up. It should now be able to bring the waist up into place, kind of where it's supposed to be. There we go. Okay, so now these panels on the side, they can just pull away. They might have already started doing that on you anyway. Pull those away on either side. Pull them out and kind of get them out of the way. We're just in the revealing all the parts stage right now. So just kind of open stuff up and get things out of the way for yourself. And now this panel can come down, and then we should be able to lift his head up and put that into place, revealing that amazing head sculpt. So once we've done that, then this panel here, the windshield's going to fold down like that, and then it's going to get tucked up. Press it up like that, up and down. So up, and you want to get it under this bit right here. There you go. Now it's tucked away underneath there. So then we'll take this part, and by the way, there's a little hitch here or hose that can pop out right here when he's in his his alt mode. We didn't have it out, but that is something that's there, and another cool little feature. But this you're just going to tuck up underneath his head, which should give you room once you press everything down in place to bring this gray piece up and push it into those ports and have that locked in really good, just like that. So the next thing we're going to do is work on his chest, and we're going to do that by fixing the doors. First thing you're going to want to do is take the mirrors here. They'll fold in. You can fold them in and out of the way just like that. And then you kind of want to fold it up. You want to shape it, so you want to fold up the bottom part. Then you have a little tab right here and a slot right here, and that should come around and push into that spot. And by the way, keep the tires down and out of the way, and this should be folded in a bit, but the little finagling, you'll get it in the right spot. It'll go in that tab, and you should be good to go. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. We're going to push in the windshield. I'm going to fold it down a little bit, bring that around. Notice this double hinge here. It has to kind of come around like that. See this little hinge here? Twist it around to where it makes contact there. And you can get that. There's a little bit of play to get it just right, but you want to get this tab going into here, just like the other side. And there we go. That's what we want that to look like. Now you want to take this, when you fold this up, you want to make sure that, keep these out of the way, and this piece should push in Notice that these really have to be folded up like this, but this piece should go all the way in there, just like that. Kind of snaps into place, and it takes a little push to get it there, but once you get it there, you're good to go. Then these pieces can come up. But let's make sure everything is pushed back into place. But now we can come around to the back, and we can take this piece, getting trickier now with everything in the way, and this will clip together just like that and sit underneath, just like that. And now the arms, we can finally bring these around. And again, you got a little tab here and a little tab slot right there. You can push that up into place, lock those arms in, and then just a matter of shaping them, twisting them up like that. So, bringing the arm down, and this can come down to the side. This is one of those pieces. You can kind of do what you want with it. Same thing on the other side. We'll bring the arm around. We'll push it into its tab. Trying not to squeeze any of these parts and knock them out of place while I do this. But there we go. Twist the arm around. Oops. Lock it in. There we go. Now we can bring the arm down. We can bring that down. Getting closer now. Turn around to the back. And this bit here, I think the general idea is you can kind of open it up and spread it a bit, give him kind of that cape look. And bring it down, then we kind of want to line everything up. This can fold down out of the way. And one final step, you can bring the tires up, kind of push them up into place, kind of line everything up. Came back here and made sure these tires were in place. Fold this down. And that is Sentinel Prime transformed into what is a pretty impressive robot mode, in my opinion, even if he has a real tough time standing. You kind of have to find just the right angle. There you go. See, somehow magically he locks into place, and now he's standing just fine. Again, I don't know what the secret sauce is. Somebody tell me if you know, but I'm going to need visuals, because somehow once you get the legs locked into place just right, he does have a bit of a lean. That tends to be how he's going to stand, which kind of makes sense because he is back heavy. For sure. But once you get him all locked in, there you go. Standing pretty nicely, although, yeah, he's definitely leaning forward a little bit. There's a little hack let me put this camera back. If you're having trouble with him standing and you just want to display him and you don't want to be too nervous about it, you can kind of twist this around and use this as kind of to prop him up. I've done this before. I just kind of set it, bring it straight down behind him, let it hit the ground right there, and it'll kind of hold him up a bit. That's a little hack. It works, and it works pretty well, although in this case, I think I just got him standing again, but you get the idea. If you need to, you can always use that bit, put it behind him, and have him standing, and then you're happy. So we can take a little bit of a closer look. You can see that face sculpt is just absolutely incredible. And these, of course, still work when he's in robot mode. You push the button right here. I'm missing the button there. There it is. But one of the coolest features to this is there is a little button right here, this gold part right here. If you press this, let's see if we can, there we go. If I get close enough, you can see his mouth actually opens a bit too when you do that, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if it did it a little more clearly back in the day. He was already old, and he is older, but I just think that's too cool. I think that's such a cool feature, and again, just part of what makes him super fun, and just an absolute shelf boss, just looking tough as can be there. And while he's kind of locked in, standing here in his fun little lean, let's talk about his two accessories. Of course, the first one is this shield, which is actually really cool. I like the gold details and the black here. It's very mech techy. You've got the button here, you push it and things kind of pop out like that. And these are supposed to splay out as well, but it looks like these little bits get in the way. And again, it is older, but there, now we got them both going. And so you've got all sorts of crazy looks for this thing, just being completely random and just a wild toy, but that's kind of fun. That's a fun little toy. And of course he can hold it as a shield. It has a tab here that, or one of it's got the two tabs here and the two tab here. So in theory, you could, I believe, connect it to the side of his arm. That'd be a weird way to do it, but maybe there, I don't know, you can kind of lock it up. That's an option. He can kind of carry it on the side of his arm like that. It does have the handle on the back here that you can open up. Now it kind of doesn't want to stay in place. But you can take this handle and you can put it in his hand, which does open up, and kind of squeeze it shut on it. There. All right, now he's got it. So he's got his shield there. And of course we have his sword here. His double-bladed sword folds out. And you can lock it into his hand on this side as well. So we're going to go ahead and open the fingers and then lock that hand down on it. So he's got his sword and his shield. Kind of a fun look. It's a shame he doesn't have his gun he uses that causes Ironhide to rust. That would have been an awesome accessory for this guy. But as is, I do like the sword and the shield. The blade and the shield, they're really cool looking. And fun accessories to have with them. So now we're just going to transform him back. And we spent a lot of time on the transformation into the bot. We'll spend a little less time on transforming back, but we will go through the process. So we have it here. We have it as a record, that I can in fact do it. And of course, we will start first with what we did last time around, and that would be, of course, the arms. We're gonna pull those apart, bring them down to the side for now, get them out of the way. We're going to start to take apart the pieces of his chest. You can bring these red bits back down. You can slide the tires down, bring the windshield out of the way, and then you want to bring this whole red piece back down. Remember, we snapped that into place with it. And you're going to hit that button a few times. And then we want to disconnect this tab. And this can really hold tight sometimes. So it might be a bit of a struggle, but there it is. Pull that out, pull the bumper out. And then we want to get the windshield out. Bring that out and out of the way, and then we can tuck his head back down underneath. Bring the windshield up. Get that into place. And now while we're here, we'll go ahead and do the rest of the process for getting the windshield and the front of the truck done. So we'll just kind of move everything else out of the way, get the arms out of the way for now. We'll want to take the mirrors, stick those back out, like so. And then again, you want to work this double hinge. Bring it back around this way so it can come in at this angle just like this, fold it up like that, push it in. It's going to tab in there, and then this tab should go into the bumper here. It kind of locked in like that. Same thing on the other side, accordion in the hinge there. Make sure this tab goes into the bumper. There we go. Everything kind of locked into place, and that's the windshield done with his head tucked away. So now we can split apart these black panels, kind of move them to the side. We can let the cab come up a bit. Don't let these pieces fall apart on you too much, because now once we can bring the cab all the way down, we can attach. It has to get to an angle where this bit here is going to attach into these sections here. Before that, let's go ahead and get his arms done. It might be better to have those out of the way. The problem with the arms is they might come untapped a few times in this process. We want to make sure they're folded back out like that with this panel out of the way. And this tab here is going to need to be facing on the outside. And again, you might end up reconfiguring this a bit once you have everything into place because it's kind of unwieldy. But you're going to bring that in, and this slot here is going to go into this tab here. Tab that arm into place like that. We're going to do the same thing with the other. Get the panel out of the way. Twist the arm that way. Bring it around. Tab it into place. There we go. We want to keep this tab pointed out like that. The fists, we'll manage those again when we're starting to tuck all of that into place. But anyway, that gets them in the right spot so you can bring the truck down and hopefully get this. There we go. Now we can tab this gray part into here. We'll push the red parts in here, bring the wheels up, and they will actually come over top of this red bit and keep it in place. Now, this needs to tighten onto this, but it can be tricky because you need a little bit of force, and when you're pushing on it, you're actually disconnecting everything else. So it's kind of a pain in the butt, because we want to keep the windshield locked in and looking good, and then you want to get that tabbed in. So if you actually pull back on this, that'll hold it in place, and then you should be able to push that in and get that locked in, and then you're good to go. That's kind of locked into place again. Now we want to work on the legs. Again, I might not be doing this in perfect order, but we're kind of moving through this pretty quickly, but we're just going to get him back into his alt mode. So we want to fold out the heels. Like that. And then we want to disconnect the calves like so. Remember that panel? We can now put that back into place. And then you're going to want to orient the wheels, so of course the tires are going to line up. And then the heels, you're going to want to twist those around so the panels and everything sort of fall into place. You have little tabs here that are going to click into this panel. And again, you can line everything up now and start working on it, but you're definitely going to come back to some of these pieces once you get everything locked into place. But the beauty is everything will hold when everything is completely together. So let's go ahead and take care of the other leg as well. Let's pull the heel apart, kind of flail it out, get the feet in there. We're going to take the cab off. Again, orient the tires the correct way. And don't forget, we're going to have to fix that one. But we're going to take this panel, push that up, like so, and then we can take our heels and start tabbing them together to at least get it started, things sort of in the right place. Now remember the tires underneath here? We want to take those, we want to pop this off, twist it back around, lock it back into place there on that tab. Same thing on the other side, twist it around, bring the tire back, lock it into place on the tab. Not sure if I'm catching it or not, but that's something we can definitely come back to. Okay. Now, what we want is there are these little slots here for the feet, and if you have one foot up high on these slots like that, you want the other foot slotted lower on this side so that when you push them together, the feet don't hit each other and it can kind of tab into place nicely. Again, it's unwieldy, and especially when you're reaching around a camera, you want to support the bottom half because it's a heavy vehicle anyway. It's kind of hard to line everything up and hold it in the air and try and hold it in front of a camera. But see, things start to lock into place pretty good. We want to bring these panels down though, because the next thing we're going to do, we're going to bring the arms back, fold this up, get it out of the way, And this is the most important part. You want to make sure the arms fit into these enclosures just right. You can get these panels out of the way. You can fold this up. This is the part that's going to hold everything into place. So you want to bring them down, lock them in. The fist, I believe we want them turned in like that. Get it in place. And now this is going to be, this tab, this is everything. So you want to take this tab and connect it in here. And once that's clicked in, and the fist is turned in the right way, you're going to be in pretty good shape there. So the same thing on the other side. Again, even though all this looks kind of silly and flimsy, you got to trust the process. So same thing, we're going to tab this into the leg. See, it's a little angled a little off, so I want to bring it down a bit. Get that tab in, click it into place, and there we go. Now all these other tabs will hold pretty well. Now we can rotate these panels out of the way for now. Bring that around. And then take the panels. They will snap into place pretty well. Kind of push them under here. Push it into place. Notice the tab here. You're going to want it to kind of slip into there. In fact, you can, if that comes off like that, you just want to make sure you push it back in and push it back into place. So same thing over here. We want to get the panel in place in here. So just kind of push it into place. Snap it in, same thing. Undo that, which means we should probably take care of these panels first. But like I said, we're kind of moving through this quickly, but if you get everything snapped into place, especially those arms, things will start to tab in quite nicely like we have here. We have a pretty solid back section ready to go, which means now we can take this down, make sure it's connected, and kind of slip it in there and let the tabs go underneath on either side. Just like that. And again, you will pull things apart, especially if you're trying to do it in such an awkward position like I am. But things will start to lock into place. Let's switch the angle a bit. And there you have it. Pretty solid, pretty locked in. Again, and once you get the hang of it, well, there we go. There we go. You do everything right, everything will snap into place pretty satisfactorily. But there are a few steps that are very important. And the arms, it's really important to get the arms right, to get the fist oriented correctly, and you should be fine. Now, of course, hello, kitty. The last step, if you want to store the weapons, you have underneath here a couple tab slots right here, the gray ones here angled that way. And you have these tabs here. These tabs are going to go into those slots. Press them in on either side. And again, don't be afraid to push a little bit and have something pop out, because you can always fix that. You can take his sword, fold it in half, and then this angled bit here will connect right here. And that's stored away as well. We love weapon storage. And there you have it. I think we're pretty good to go, pretty locked in. Again, I think I probably have something just a little off in there, but I'm not going to sweat that too much. Looks great. That's him transformed back to his truck mode, which is, again, such an incredible mode. And you know I love Sentinel Prime because this is the leader class from Mechtech. Absolutely love him. This is the Voyager class from Mechtech. They thought they loved him so much, they gave him a couple figures. It's also pretty cool, I have to say, especially the truck mode. The alt mode, the robot is not the best, but it's okay. And then they even had this smaller version. I don't remember, I think these were either Cyberverse or they were actually Commander class at the time. This is a fun little figure too. I have quite a few of these from the Bayverse era. I don't think they called them core class at the time, but they made a lot of really cool smaller figures like this that are awesome. And by the way, of course, my favorite Studio Series figure of all time is, in fact, the Sentinel Prime Studio Series figure. It is absolutely incredible in both modes, truck mode, alt mode, and the transformation process. Everything is just so satisfying and looks so good. So I love that too. And I guess I just must have a love for the character of Sentinel Prime. Of course, he was a traitor. Of course, he was a villain, but we love villains. And he was about probably one of the toughest villains in the Bayverse. One of the most terrifying and ruthless. And for that reason, I guess I just really like him. And I really like this truck mode And so there we go. That's the transformation back. But there they are. There's the 3 leaders, just looking amazing. And yeah, I can't say enough about these guys. And if you don't like Bayformers, you didn't make it this far anyway. If you don't like the Bayverse, you're certainly not here looking at this right now. But if you are, if you're here with me, you get it. It's fun engineering. Yeah, I love G1 and I love sort of the aesthetic. I love robots that look very much like robots and then transform into something else. When it comes to the Bayverse, you certainly have way more kibble. You have way more engineering. And it's a love or hate situation for sure. I get that. I guess I'm just a little too easy because I love the G1. I love Prime stuff. I'm getting into Armada stuff. And I love the Bayverse stuff. He's got a lean on him right now, doesn't he? So I don't really fight those battles. I enjoy these toys. I enjoy the engineering of all of them. And I just have a lot of fun with them. So just a little love affair with the 3 leaders from Dark of the Moon. I just think they're great figures. And I think Sentinel Prime is absolutely excellent. And I highly recommend picking him up for sure.